Warning: the following podcast contains irreverent humor, exceptionally nerdy opinions, potential cursing, and plenty of love for the prequels. If any of the preceding offends you, please turn off this podcast immediately, and may the Force be with you.
Why, you stuck-up, half-witted, scruffy-looking nerf herder!
You can't use that word! Only we can use that word!
We'll use the Force. That's not how the Force works.
You're tuned in to the Nerfherder Council, your source for Star Wars opinion, conversation, and debate, featuring your hosts, JT. I mean, they killed his mother. What's he supposed to do? Send him a postcard? I wish you wouldn't have done that. AJ.
I love a good three-way.
Oh, my goodness. Steve.
Where did Ewok number 5 walk off to after the end of episode 6? They want that crap explained to them, dude.
On this special two-part episode of the Nerfherder Council,
First, we give our hopes and expectations for Rogue One,
and then follow it up with our immediate reaction to the film right after leaving the theater.
This is the Nerfherder Council.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Nerfherder Council. I am your host, JT. With me, as always, is Steve and AJ. Steve will be awake for probably about the next 17 minutes, and then it'll all be downhill from there.
Exactly. Sleep deprivation is a very real thing.
Right?
Did you not consult with us first? I mean, you should have. You knew you were going to be on this show, and then you decided to have a kid?
Yeah. Well, no. She had to have been pregnant before I knew about it, right? Or at least around the same time.
Well, then you should have thought of that before you accepted this gig.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, that wasn't very good planning on your part, dude.
It's not. All right, let's just pack this up and get it out of here then. The hell out of my basement.
All right.
That little booger's probably a Star Trek fan.
Well, we do.
No, actually, to completely segue off of a topic that we haven't even got onto yet, I have multiple Hallmark Christmas ornaments hanging on my tree upstairs that are the ones that talk and play music and all that. One, he has no love whatsoever for the Cantina band, doesn't care. But when I click the one that's Jabba, he'll chuckle a little bit. But the two that get him, Han on the Tauntaun and Darth Vader talking to Palpatine at the end of episode 3. You put those things on and he just lights up, especially...
Wait, so you've got an ornament that goes, no.
Yes, I do.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we'll check it out later. And it hurts me. It hurts me deeply.
Say it. Let me hear it.
He really likes the one with Han Solo and the Tauntaun more than the other one.
Yeah. That's right.
But he does laugh, not so much at Vader talking, but as soon as Palpatine says Lord Vader, he's like, yeah, he really likes listening to Han talk about going to find Luke.
Well, that's a good thing.
He's like, it's too cold for the Tauntaun. Well, then I'll see you in hell. And then my 7-month-old son starts laughing. I'm like, good job.
You just learned your first curse word, kid.
Right?
Yeah, great.
Well, we should probably apologize off the bat for missing a week. Real life interfered. Finally. It's pretty good. We've been doing this for a year, and it's the first time that we've actually not been able to get a show out on our normal schedule.
Mm-hmm.
So, but we will let everybody know that by the time you have this one, it'll be a few days before Rogue One, and then our normal schedule would be to put one out the week after that, and we will be doing that. So we're definitely staying on our 2-week schedule. Just this one is 3 weeks instead of 2.
Yeah,
You'll get back-to-back weeks of garbage now. You're
Right?
welcome.
Real life getting in the way of Star Wars. That pisses me off.
It pisses me off, too.
Well, we'll be all fired up for the next one, though, if we go on what we were talking about, just instantly running down here as soon as we get out of Rogue One on Thursday.
I might have a guest on the Moof Milker mic for that one, too, so we might have a 4-man panel.
Yeah, have we
Which is
discussed, are we going to run down here before Rogue One and fire one off?
I doubt it. I'll be at work. But
yeah, he's not able to get out of work early enough, and I think we're just going to go get food and beer.
Yeah, I don't really like that idea anymore anyway. The way I just phrased that, I talked about running down to a basement and firing one off.
You know what?
Phrasing.
Dude,
Let's
just
keep this family
if
friendly.
I'm still at work, just clean up before I get here, dude. That's all I really need to ask.
I don't want to ever see a black light down here. We got condors in here. All right. Well,
And there
So-
you go.
All right, let's
So,
get
yeah.
going. You're about 10 minutes into this 17, so
yep.
I'll fess up. It was my life that got in the way of the last recording, so I'm sorry for that, guys. But don't worry, I promise to not have a life from here on out.
All right.
all right.
Well, this episode and the next are obviously going to be very Rogue One centric, due to the fact that one will come out right before the movie and the other one will come out right after the movie. I know that myself,
Maybe immediately after the movie. I think we should do that.
I'm fine with that. An immediate reaction.
And then we'll have our usual release a few days later that will actually give us a few days to sink in, see it 3 more times, so on and so forth.
I already have tickets to the Friday show. I know that. So, but
Yeah, if you guys you don't want production on the top and bottom end, we can throw that thing out instantly once we're done recording for all I care.
yeah,
Yep, that'll be our 12:01 release. So
Yep.
people are walking into the theater hearing us spoil it for them.
Let's just show up at the movie theater. We'll go to the 7 o'clock showing. Then we'll set up microphones and a table out in the lobby, and then BS about the movie while the people are coming in for the next one.
right. We're like, I love how they told the story of how they stole the Death Star plans, and there's going to be that one idiot out there that hasn't heard that yet. It's like, oh man, like they actually did not know that was the whole point.
Like, wow, they
I just thought they
really
were kicking ass.
they really did kill Jin 20 minutes into the movie. Jesus, who saw that coming?
Wouldn't that be great if that was the case? It's like a total red herring.
They all dead.
And then the movie is just centered on Chirrut Imwe, and I'm just sitting there pissed the whole time.
Oh,
That would just absolutely infuriate
You
me.
just see people coming in buying popcorn, turning back around, going back out the door, like,
Yep. Nope. Not watching this.
refunds.
So
I just want to see I want to see Chirrut. What I'm hoping is that Baze actually just picks off all of the stormtroopers for him. So Chirrut's sitting there thinking he's whooping ass, and actually he's just swinging a stick and.
yeah, right. He's like swinging a damn stick, and he's not actually hitting anything. So they just have to randomly throw chunks of wood in the air in front of him, or fruit. So he thinks he's thumping stormtroopers, but he's actually just hitting random detritus that's flying through the air.
He's smacking a tetherball pole, so the ball comes around and hits him every so often.
Right.
There's stormtroopers with ropes and pulleys just dangling.
You know what would be even
branches in front of him while he's swinging wildly.
you know what'd be even better is if this is the story of how they steal the Death Star plans. What they don't tell you is that this is actually the team that failed to get them. So they all just die, and the movie ends and they don't have the Death Star plans, and everyone's like, "What the was that?" that would be amazing. That would just be the greatest, one of the most downer endings in movie history, and I love those. So I would just standing ovation the hell out of that.
What if the real surprise is that they actually do all die, and Chirrut's the only survivor? So, in actuality, you do see the rebels who steal the Death Star plans in Episode 4, but the problem is, since it's all Chirrut's recollection in this movie, he has no idea what they look like. So they're just they're walking in the background. Chirrut goes up to Luke. He's like, "Jin, good to see you." I'm Luke Skywalker. Who's Jin?
Jin Urso's actually this gigantic, 350-pound fat broad. But in his mind, it's this skinny, hot, British chick.
It's like a phone sex operator.
He said it's all the guys that fail, so half the movie is just filled up with this getting played while they're going. It's just fast forwarding through the movie. Rogue One's 37 minutes long. They're just chasing him around in circles.
He's already got the stick, so he's basically the cop with the nightstick.
This is
So I'm
so
assuming-
wrong.
So at some point, do Jin's clothes get ripped off and she's wearing lingerie or something?
Yeah, right. She's walking around in a corset.
There's always a buxom lass in the chase scene.
This just turned out to be like a Tarantino film. That would be so great.
Dude, what if this is all Pulp Fiction style?
Yeah,
Like,
right.
That's why you see young gin and old gin, or like adult gin. It's like you see them at like totally different times. It's all disjointed, and you got to like figure out who's what and when. And
they actually do rip off like Pulp Fiction. So they've got like he's got one of the stormtroopers tied up in the basement of some space station with a ball gag in his mouth or something.
And Mace Windu's there trying to tell you what a Big Mac in England is called.
You know what they call a Big Mac on Felucia?
a Rancor with cheese.
Oh my. So anyways, what I kind of wanted to do for this episode, because originally when we started recording this, we were going to put it out this Sunday, but since only 9 minutes of the show recorded, we got almost all the way through the show and realized it only recorded for 9 minutes.
Should this just be playing for the whole show then?
Actually, here, pull up the other sound effect. You know the one. And I will just follow my lead here.
You gotta keep talking though. You gotta give me a second.
Okay, so I'm gonna set this up. This will be
No.
This will be my impersonation of AJ.
Oh no!
Are you ready?
Yeah, go for it.
You're not supposed to play it yet.
Because I clicked on the video.
It's supposed to be. Okay, I'm AJ. Hey guys, I know it's like 50 minutes into the recording, but we only got 9 minutes of audio.
Yeah, let's see how good you are at recording a show. Where's your computer with the recording software, buddy?
I am horrible at it. That's why I don't do it. I wouldn't even get a single minute of the show. But that's not my job.
Let's face it, I'm the most important member of this team, damn it.
Well, I don't know.
Why didn't we have a show ready to go?
All right, so
We've managed to get shows out when Steve couldn't make it. We got shows out when you couldn't make it. We've never gotten a show out when I couldn't make it.
well, there's a first for everything.
That's right. The council runs through me.
Oh, that's because last week John and I talked about it, and we just figured, nah.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. It's like history of the world. And do you care if it falls? What? The Nerfherder Council's episode this week? Good. So, anyways,
I am the engine that makes this ship go, damn it.
so what we're going to do now is...
Damn it, dude, I was drinking.
All right, let's try and get something appropriate here. So what we'd like to do is, apparently this episode's going to come out now a few days after Rogue One. So here's what we're going to do. We are
Come on,
going
a few hours after Rogue One.
Yes, well no, because we're going to record it, but then we're going to slap it together to make it that Sunday's episode.
I'm already confused again. I thought this was coming out this Sunday on the 11th.
No,
and then
it is
the
not.
Follow-up show
This
was
is coming out on the 18th. We're not doing that. We're doing what me and Steve's original idea was. Now just deal with it. And now that I've said it, you're screwed. To quote Weird Science, you're stewed, buttwad.
But I tweeted at someone we would have a new episode this week.
Tough cookies. Well, we won't. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to do a before and after Rogue One episode.
You realize now 1/10 of our episode or our audience is going to be very let down
That's okay.
because I tweeted at one person. So
Well,
that's like 10% right there.
don't worry. I'll tweet at him that you messed up the computer, so it's your fault.
Oh, you're going to tweet. Okay, that'd be cool.
Yeah, right? So anyways,
You could forward him that 9 minutes.
yeah, there it is. So I
Give him
figure
a
what
sneak peek.
what we should do is let's go over our expectations for Rogue One, like talk about pre-Rogue One, and then what we're going to do is next Thursday when we go to the 7 p.m. show, we will come back here afterwards, and we will do an immediate react to the movie, and we'll smush them together, and we'll see if we were right about certain things, if we were wrong about certain things, if we liked it as much as we thought we did, and then that will be our episode for December 18th. Which, if people are listening to this, it's December 18th right now or the 19th. So there it is. But
all right, rules for next Thursday.
yes,
No speaking about the movie till we get here, because you're going to waste a lot of good stuff.
Well, I
right,
won't.
right after the movie.
This is the crappy thing about having a podcast. As much as I love this show, every time we get into a good conversation off the air, we're like, stop talking. Stop talking. It's show fodder. Stop it.
Yeah,
And then
we
forget
all
it.
have to drive separate, and we have to shut up in the parking lot on the walk to the car.
Yep. Well,
Or-
we are.
Or more like sprint to the car, because, that's the only way you're going to not be able to say anything about what we just witnessed.
Well, as we've already covered, Steve, you and I are going to be walking out of that theater, and we're going to be like, oh my God, this, that is such a good movie. And JT's just going to walk out like, yeah, that's what I read online.
Okay, no. I did
we're
not
just going
read
to walk
everything.
out and go, can you believe they killed Han Solo?
Okay, so let's start there. I've read a lot online, but it's not, specifics of the plot. It's things that happen here or there. I know how the movie opens. Like, we already know there's no opening crawl.
Ooh, space. Okay,
What-
so I
Hold
know.
on to your
I know
butts.
too.
We're at 8 minutes and 57 seconds.
But
Are we going to last? Are we going to last?
are we gonna get past 9 minutes again?
Wait for it.
We're still on. Okay, go.
There we go. Okay, hang on to your butts.
Wipe the sweat.
So we know there's no opening crawl.
Okay, so
But
no
what's-
opening
what's-
crawl. We know that. Go for
Well,
it.
what's there in its place? I actually know that.
Space. Okay, so
yeah.
now I know too.
I know the opening sequence of the movie.
It's probably in space. So yeah, okay.
There's that thing online that I saw that I really can't give away, but we'll talk about in the
Okay, so
in
I'm
the
up
post.
to 4 because you
Yeah.
showed me.
Yep. So you know what it is. And honestly, a lot of stuff that I'm familiar with that will be in the movie is basically from things I read online that don't give anything away. But when you combine them with having listened to the audiobook for Catalyst, you can put 2 and 2 together.
X-Wing, Stormtrooper, Lightsaber, Death Star, Pew Pew America. Bam. That's pretty much. Did I nail the movie?
Nope, you're wrong on one of those.
The America part?
Nope. Well, no, okay,
It was
you're wrong
filmed
on
in
2
London.
of those.
Yeah, it was filmed
Yeah.
in London.
Okay.
Sorry.
You're wrong on 2 of those, but I'm excited. I was excited for this before I listened to Catalyst, and now that I know the backstory, I'm really excited to see what happens and how it all ties together. Because as much as we didn't really need the what happens in Catalyst, that you don't really need that story, I suppose. Steve, basically, it's the backstory of Galen Erso and how he gets conned into working with kyber crystals to design the super laser of the Death Star.
He thought he was making something else that wasn't going to kill entire planets at a time.
Yeah. AJ and I will do a book review of that at some point for everybody. It's really good, but we can save you the listen. But it's going to be really cool to see how they tie it all together. And you don't really need the backstory, but I think it's going to really enrich the characters a little bit. Galen Erso, it's going to be cool to see how his character arc plays out in this movie, because for people that haven't read the book, it's just going to be, okay, well, he helped design the Death Star, which is not really the case. It's a lot more than that. So I'm interested to see how Mads Mikkelsen plays it. So
would you recommend, without getting into a full book review, would you recommend reading Catalyst before seeing Rogue One or after?
Man, that's hard to say without having seen the movie, because I'm glad I read it. I don't think it's necessary, but I'm glad that I read it.
Okay, because you said you're starting to connect the dots just based on spoilers that you've read online. So, I mean,
Again, I haven't really read a spoiler. It's just little, you know what it is? It's little bits of information. Like, for example, in one article, there was somebody that works in the film industry that because of, and they wrote into the website that I go to for most of my stuff is StarWarsNewsNet.com, and they wrote an email to these guys and said, hey, because of my job, I had access to view the end credits of Rogue One. I had to do something for the film industry with it or something. So he got to see a list of characters and the actors who played them. Like Han Solo, Harrison Ford, whatever it is. I mean, he's not in there, but you know what I mean. And they listed out the legacy characters that are in it with the actors who play them. So I know which of the characters we already know and are very familiar with are actually going to make appearances in this movie. So it's not.
That sounds like a spoiler to me.
No, because
Even if they don't play a major role, like it's been posited, Leia could show up because, they give the plans to Leia. I don't want to know if Leia's in it or not. I want to be surprised by if she is and how they pull it off.
So if Anthony Daniels is in there as C-3PO, is it gonna like ruin the movie for you? Something, a little piece of knowledge like that? I mean, either of you?
No,
Kind of.
because he was only in episode 7 for like 8 seconds too, wasn't he?
Yeah.
So it's like if
Yeah,
they toss him in for something like that, it's not really a big
Right.
deal.
The reason I say kind of, though, is because you're still like, we're led to believe that this is a spin-off and that Vader is the only familiar character showing up. So anybody else who shows up that's from the saga films is going to be a little treat. I don't want that spoiled.
Okay, but I mean, yeah. So I to me, it's not a spoiler.
Like, they
So-
gave R2 an all-black paint job. I don't know what's up with that. Maybe it's his goth phase or something.
Yeah, R2 went goth. That was a tribute to Kenny Baker. But no, I mean, it's not like they said, well, okay, well, this major plot point happened, this, that, and the other. I haven't seen anything like that, but just because of, I mean, there's a lot of it comes from, how people are getting into this like trailer review thing. It's like this new fad to go over, like literally pause every frame of a
Yeah.
trailer. Sorry for the edit, but I mean, it's stuff like that where people notice these like minor things and like, oh, then this could happen, and then this could happen, and because of having read Catalyst, I know that some of it actually is true, because it's stuff that, because it's in the book, and when you see something in the movie in a frame of film, you can say, okay, well, that ties together, so you can kind of,
And possibly what doesn't happen.
yeah, mm-hmm.
Like, you can look at some of these wild fan theories online or predictions and then be like, well, no, because in the book this happens.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, so I'm still just as excited for it, because as I said in a previous episode, I really think I'm going to enjoy this better than I did episode 7, because Gareth Edwards, in one of the interviews, he actually said that, they encouraged him to take chances. They encouraged him to think outside the box. And so he purposely he said, we have to do something different. We have to take chances. We have to, which is something that they didn't really do with episode 7. It was more of a cash grab, kind of let's bring the fans back into it, as we've talked about. Whereas this one, he's trying something different, and he's trying to add something extra to the Star Wars legacy.
Wouldn't you think it'd be the other way around? Like, you're making a film that butts right up to the original, and we started the show complaining about how there's so much stuff that's different and having to explain that away. Like, this is the one where they could have played it safe and been like, all right, we're just going to have X-Wings and TIE Fighters and Stormtroopers. That's it. And then they could have gotten weird with episode 7 because they had 30 years of unwritten history to play around with to explain why everything is so different. So for the fact that episode 7 played it so close to the vest, and now this one that has to butt right up against the simplest, for lack of a better term, movie in the Star Wars saga, this is the one that gets like all the crazy trooper designs and, new locales and ships and vehicles and all this. Like, what? Wow. Okay, you're going to have a hard time making that all fit in.
Yeah. I mean, and this is a topic for a whole nother episode, but I mean, that was my problem with episode 7, is that, the prevailing theory, and Steve, you've said this many times, is that they had to do it that way to bring the old fans back in. And I think that's total crap, because I think if you're a fan of Star Wars and you hear there's a new Star Wars movie, and as soon as they said it's going to have Han Solo, Princess Leia, and Luke Skywalker in it, that's all you needed to say. You could have gone and done something completely different, and as long as it said Star Wars and it had the opening crawl and those 3 characters in it, you could have gone and done anything with it, because people were going to go to the theater just to see those 3 characters. You already brought them in by saying they're in there. So the fact that it didn't take chances really pissed me off.
Ultimately, it's a business, and they don't care about you and your money, because they knew they had it anyways just by saying it's Star Wars. So their whole thing was, let's get all the people that we were not going to get their money unless we gave them the low-hanging fruit. So,
Well, there's a reason that Guns N' Roses didn't play anything off the spaghetti incident on their reunion tour.
Yeah, but they played stuff from Chinese Democracy.
Oh, God, really?
Yeah, they had like 3 or 4 songs in
Well,
the set.
there goes that example. Sorry.
But
sorry, rewind.
yeah, no, I'm
So, yeah, it's like they they went for the big thing. So now they could say Star Wars is biggest movie of all time or top 2 or 3 or whatever, and opening weekend this and all the countries. Like, they can use all that going forward. So at this point, yeah, I feel like starting with next week, and hopefully moving forward, they're going to go and take a lot more chances with this stuff. And I'm on the team of Disney right now, but if episode 8 comes out and it's still low-hanging fruit and I don't really have an argument to go on anymore, then yeah, I'll probably start changing my tone a little bit. It's kind of like being a Browns fan, you're sooner or later you run out of excuses, and it's like right now I'm still siding with Disney, and if they do it again, it's like,
yeah,
okay, like I got nothing to stand up for anymore. So hopefully they take a hell of a lot of chances with that one when it comes out.
Yeah.
So are you looking forward to Rogue One, and if so, what are your thoughts on like what you're looking for out of it?
I can't really say what I'm looking for. I'm really happy to see some nice original trilogy stuff come back out. It's no secret I'm a Vader fan, so him being in the movie for any amount of time is awesome to me to begin with. We were talking about the lack of need for different troopers and stuff, but I think that'll be kind of cool to see. But just original trilogy alone is what's really got me hyped up for this thing. And like we were saying, we know the beginning and end game pretty much of this, so it's what's going on in the middle. It's I'm just generally looking forward to it. And honestly, I have a small bit of me that's actually just glad that this movie is coming out so the episode 8 hype can start already.
Yeah, right.
Like there's just
part of me
something
is
about
thinking the same thing.
There's
Yep.
something about that I'm just like that damn cliffhanger, dude. Like I want to see what the hell's going on with Rey and Luke. I want to figure out what the F is going on today. I don't need any more prequel. Like I want to see. I want to go forward again.
Right. Yeah. By the way, that was one thing that came out is that Daisy Ridley did an interview and she said that when she watches episode 7, she thinks it's obvious what her parentage is. And so I'm like, okay. But anyway.
Human.
Yeah. Yeah, right. No,
She's
it's
obviously
funny.
Lando's kid.
Yeah.
Right.
No, I'm really pumped for Rogue One, which is kind of surprising because if you remember when the first trailer came out, the first footage, I was like, I didn't really dig it.
Just the general first talking about it, we were like, really? Like, we're going to get a
Yeah.
movie about the Death Star plans? Like, how good could this be?
I thought it was a cool concept, but then when the first trailer hit, everybody just lost their mind. Like, this is the coolest thing. And I was like, yeah, they're on a beach, man. It's like they're on vacation, and all of a sudden a Star Wars battle, breaks out. But then the second trailer came out, and I was like, ooh, okay, wait a minute, what? And everything subsequent to that, it's really gotten me pumped up. So I'm really excited to see it, and all the stuff I've read said that it's the reshoots were minor, so it wasn't some big deal, and then it really they released they had a whole bunch of press go to Skywalker Sound, I think it was Skywalker Sound, the Skywalker Ranch anyway, and they showed them 28 minutes of the movie. It was like the first, I think, 15 minutes, and then some like highlights of the movie, and then like a sizzle reel or something, but it totaled 28 minutes, and everybody came out of it like really loving it. And the one thing they said is that the whole vibe of it being a war movie, and it's very much a war movie. Like it's pretty brutal.
Yeah, I heard
very gritty.
I remember
and
we did something. We were talking about it months ago. How somebody did an interview with the director, and he was like, "Dude, it's very Band of Brothers."
Yeah,
and
that's the vibe that the press got off it. So for me, that's something that we haven't seen. And I've been critical of the kind of the kiddyization of Star Wars lately, especially with Rebels. And when we discussed on the one episode about, do we really need a kidified Star Wars, or can we have more adult stuff?
Well,
and this is a more adult Star Wars, and I'm excited to see it. I think that's cool.
You're never going to get a rated R Star Wars, but if you can get a PG-13 that's teetering at the end of that fence,
yeah,
hopefully you get that. Because we read that story about how Vader's supposed to be in this and play whatever minor role, but he's supposed to be rather like brutal and the way he's acting and stuff. So yeah, if that's what we're getting out of this is a band of brothers war and a brutal Darth Vader and all, I'm all for it.
Yeah, and at first I wasn't so sure how I felt about the whole visiting the planet Jeddah, and that's like the Jedi homeworld kind of thing. And I was like, Jedi. But the more it kind of soaks in. I'm like, okay, I'm cool with it. And now I'm actually kind of excited. And there's they have one throwback.
Their marketing is working, basically.
Yeah, it really is. And especially the one thing that I think is really pretty cool is, Chirrut Imwe, as much as I'm really not psyched to see this guy try to whoop stormtroopers with a stick, he's called a Guardian of the Whills, which is directly out of like the first draft of the original Star Wars, which to me I was like, that's a really cool throwback, because that's something that only the really hardcore fans are going to be like, holy crap. Everyone else can be like, all right, Guardian of the Whills, what the heck is that? And those of us that are the uber nerds know that's from the very first like draft of the script in like 72 or 73. So anyway, I'm super pumped for it, actually. And all my friends are geeked about it, and I'm starting to read all the stuff, and my friends are texting me, and it's like, ooh, what's going to happen? I'm so excited to go, and all this kind of crap.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be fun.
I tell you, I do feel that, though, because we went to go see Fantastic Beasts a couple weeks ago, and they had the lengthy preview for Rogue One, and it was kind of like the same thing with seeing the first trailer during Avengers and stuff for Episode 7, where I was like telling Gwen to shut up and stuff, because I'm just like, I really got into that trailer, and that was the final,
where
one.
You got the Star Destroyer over the mountain range kind of thing. That's so
and that
cool.
was actually the first time I got to see that one, because like I said, I was avoiding, not purposely avoiding, I just wasn't searching out a lot of stuff for this movie. So that was the first time I got to see that final trailer that we get before the movie, and I was like, ooh.
All right. So AJ, what are you looking forward to, and are you pumped about it?
Well, I think the easiest thing to look forward to is K2SO, because droids are
forgot
always
about
fun.
him. Yeah,
and
he got
seems
rave
awesome.
reviews in the stuff that I read.
Yeah, so that part seems pretty cool. I remember just seeing a little clip that they aired on, I think it was the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon, actually, because they had Felicity Jones on, and that's actually the clip. Like, the trailers are the trailers, and there's lots of visuals, and that's cool. But it's not an unaltered clip from the movie. It's got its own music, and it's spliced in a certain way. Just seeing a 30-second clip of actual, like, here's just 30 seconds of what you'll see in the theaters, that got me super pumped, because it was a sequence of film. It wasn't cut out of order. It had the final music in it, so it was a finished product. And just, like, Giacchino, is that how you pronounce it?
I always wondered that myself. Michael Giacchino or something?
I think it's Giacchino. It's either Giacchino or Giacchino. I think it's Giacchino.
And I've actually heard Giacono. We're talking about the composer, by the way.
Yeah, sorry.
Michael Giacono, Giacchino.
So anyway, I've been really curious to hear his soundtrack, because obviously without having John Williams on board, that could be a major, not flaw, but change in the mood of the film. And okay, we're good. I just want to make sure we're still recording. Sorry.
Oh my God, dude.
The waveform has stopped moving, but the time code is still moving, so we're still good. Anyway, hearing the final music in there with the scenes, and there was a little bit of K2SO in there, like, now I'm super pumped for that character, because I think he's just going to be awesome in that.
One thing they did say about him is that the actor that portrayed him, Alan Tudyk, that he did a lot of improv. So that, and a lot of the humor comes from his improv. Like, K2SO is kind of like the humor of the movie in a way, just because he's, just the way that he's like an ex-Imperial droid, and he's just, and kind of like the BB-8 stuff and R2-D2 and everything. But I guess he improv'd a ton of it, and a lot of the humor that comes from that character is based off stuff he just kind of made up off the cuff on the set. So
after the fact, I'll have to look up how they actually did that droid, because they say he portrayed him, but clearly there's not a human fitting inside that body.
It's a motion cap.
Oh, okay. Okay, so it's a completely CGI character whose movements are mapped to a human who was on set.
Yep.
Oh, okay. That's pretty cool. Okay. Anyway, yeah, I have mixed feelings because the thing I'm looking forward to most, getting back to your point about the spoiler thing that you really want to show me, but I'm not going to let you. You're like, did they put that in there on purpose? And this whole movie, if you're going to go back and tell something right before episode 4, the funnest thing they could do is drop Easter egg after Easter egg in there. So I'm sure whatever you're seeing and showing Steve was absolutely put there on purpose.
Did that look to you like they leaked that picture on purpose?
It's like a Marvel movie, dude. They put everything in on purpose.
I could see how it could have been done on purpose, honestly. It could be done on accident, air quotes.
Yeah,
you know?
Right. So just like they didn't officially say, that certain characters were going to be reprising roles in this movie, and then the actor, because he was blurred out in the trailer, that obviously they, purposely put that clip in there, and then the actor just confirms it on The View, back in June, that kind of a thing. So, like, they deliberately put those little things out there. So I think that's anything that you see that seems like it may be unintentional is very much intentional. But what I want to get out of this movie is I want to get something that, like, I want it to color episode 4 somehow. I want to see like something that gives a new interpretation on the stuff that we've already seen. But at the same time, I don't want him to go too far left field because I don't want it to like upset the vibe of what we already know.
Yeah.
So they got a very narrow window there.
Yeah, you don't want it to affect episode 4 to the point that you go back and watch it and you're like, you can't enjoy a scene anymore or something because something ignorant about a backstory to why that's happening or something. Yeah, same thing. That goes what we were talking about a few weeks ago about the Han Solo story and stuff. How it's treading thin ice. That you could make this movie and how this guy portrays that character or stories they tell that we don't know about because they're just going to write them in. It makes you go back and watch the original trilogy in episode 7 and look at Han and kind of go like you don't want to have that sick feeling of like, I don't even like this character anymore because what the hell they did, in the anthology movie. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I think Rogue One has a much easier go of it though, because it's a story that it actually has a story that applies to episode 4, whereas the Han Solo story, they have to figure out something to tie into the movies that Han Solo's in, because just going, well, here's where Han Solo came from. Okay, well, a lot of people might not really care.
You got the ship from Lando, and here's Chewie, and here's 12 parsecs. It's like, so they can't just go with the low-hanging fruit. They got to give you something different, and that's the scary part of hopefully it's not something that makes you look down on the character going forward.
Yep. See, I want Rogue One to basically make me watch episode 4 again and go, man, the Empire was really nothing to mess with. Mm-hmm. Like, 'cause the Empire's like the big baddie, and it's the rebels are a little band and they somehow managed to win. But I want it to make episode 4 look like even more of like a desperate struggle.
Yeah, the other thing that is easy for Rogue One to do is you take all the stuff that we love from episode 4, and stuff as in like X-Wings and TIE fighters and, stormtroopers and all this, and then you put the technology of 2016 on it.
Yeah.
So you get to see like modern production values applied to 1976 film aesthetics, and I'm just, that's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I can't. But
plus, going back,
no letterboxing around the TIE fighters and everything.
But like going back in time like that and making a throwback film like this, it also has the ability to, for anyone who like, especially younger kids who they watch those movies now and they're nowhere up to the production value of modern movies that they're used to watching. It gives them stuff from that era that looks as good or better than anything they've seen. So it helps tie everything together better by having modern produced films in the era of the original trilogy.
Yeah.
I do hope if they test the Death Star, they use that same cinematic, though, of firing the...
Right.
I don't even want it reshot. Just use the 1977 with the little handle.
Right. You have to have the sound effect, right?
With the dumb little handle that you're like, all of this, and it's that little handle.
And then for some reason, they have to have 2 officers standing right next to the laser channel.
Yeah.
Like, what are they gonna do?
with the giant helmets on.
Yep. They're
Hold on, it's a little to the left. Let me just nudge it. Let me just nudge.
They just got mirrors and they're trying to
Yeah.
they're just trying to poke it out the
See, there's something else that I know. Something else about the movie you just mentioned. You wonder if you're going to see, and I'm like, I know if you will or not. So there.
why
we
they
go.
don't have railings on
Yeah.
the end of the
There we go with that again. But yeah, I'm just
Look, we already know that the project was long delayed and over budget. Railings weren't available at the price they could pay. Done. You got to cut corners somewhere, dude.
yeah.
right.
It was just a shortage of
Palpatine's
materials.
not made out of money, you know.
All the Geonosians finally died out, and they couldn't get anybody else to build railings. All the railings in the galaxy came from Geonosis.
Well, they didn't need railings because originally there were Geonosians on there, and they're like, well,
They
they
were
can fly
flying.
if they fall. Yeah.
Exactly. We'll just have Geonosians run this, and then someone slaughtered them all. You're like, dude, come on. They were supposed to be the ones firing the lasers. That's why there's no. Actually, now I figured it out.
Crap. Now we need gravity and life
You know who-
support.
you know-
balance and
now
You know
who's
who they
gonna,
put in-
Now who's gonna hold the mirrors?
Right.
Well, you just volunteered, smart ass.
Yeah, right. Exactly. That's how they determine who's going to stand there at that railingless place. The two jackasses that killed all the Geonosians and ruined the plan.
Palpatine.
Like, oh, you
asked-
want to kill the flying critters that we're going to run this thing, so we didn't need railings? You're going to stand there so you can fall into the super laser, you turd.
It's that old school thing where Palpatine asks for two guys, and then the whole line steps backwards while the two idiots are standing still. Wait a minute.
But I didn't move. All right.
it's like the Gomer Pyle twins of the Imperial Corps.
Right.
Right? It's two idiots. We're like, if one of them falls into the laser.
No big
That's why there's
loss.
two.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Well, let's end this first half of the show. When we come back, I just want to warn everybody that's listening. There will be spoilers of the movie. We have decided that we are going to discuss what happens, and so if you want to if you haven't seen Rogue One and don't want to know what happens, feel free to turn it off now and come back.
Ooh, fun experiment. Yeah.
Well,
So,
if we're not
yeah.
airing it till Sunday, that means they got 3 days to figure out their life. If not,
Yep.
too bad for you.
So, and we may have a guest on the Moof Milker, Mike. Our buddy Joe wanted to come on with us after the movie. He's super pumped, so hopefully he can make it. He'll be with us at the theater. So, but he said he would come on. So we may have a fourth guy. But yeah, if you don't want to hear spoilers for Rogue One, turn it off now because.
Turn it off after you hear the Death Star firing, because that's probably the sound effect I'm going to use now.
Now you're stuck into doing it. All right, guys. Well, we will catch you in the second half of the show and see if we enjoy Rogue One and give you our immediate feedback right after the 7 p.m. showing on Thursday, December 15th. Here we go.
Hey, guys, what if it sucks?
Commence primary ignition.
Here we go, everybody. Part 2 of our Rogue One podcast. And we have just returned from the theater from the 7 p.m. showing at AMC Ridge Park in Parma. And
Which means it's promptly 10:30.
yeah, right? So you guys are going to have to do some edits on this right away because I'm just going to say right off the bat.
No, we
It
just
was-
got to advertise that there's spoilers in it.
Well,
that's
not
all.
that. I'll give me a second here. It was awesome. Now,
Yes.
we are going to have spoilers. If you have not seen the movie, turn it off now because we're going to give away spoilers pretty much immediately.
Just listen to the first 45 minutes.
Yeah.
You
If
get to this point, just
listen to this.
Yeah.
Listen to this half after you've seen the movie already. So, again, my immediate reaction, it was amazing. I want to get my only 2 complaints out of the way right off the bat.
You're going to start with the negative? Seriously?
I am because
does
because
one of
everything
the
else is
complaints
positive.
have anything to do with people that got up in front of us in the movie no less
Holy
than 12
crap.
damn times?
Are you
during-
serious?
Jesus Christ. If a public service announcement, if you can't hold your bladder or you need candy that bad that you have to get up during a movie like 12 times minimum, watch the damn thing on pub film and stay out of the theaters.
That does
okay?
piss me off. I pissed before we left the restaurant, which is in the parking lot. So I pissed at like 6:15 for a 7 o'clock movie. Soon as the lights went down for the previews to start, I ran to the bathroom to go again to make sure I didn't even have that littlest bit of focus anywhere but I didn't want to have my focus anywhere but on the screen. So
Exactly. Even my girlfriend's 11-year-old held everything for the entire movie. Didn't even squirm once.
Right.
Somebody got glued to that screen.
Somebody got up in front of me and Gwen long enough that I missed the entire scroll at the beginning of the movie.
Well, excellent segue, Steve. Because I have 2 complaints and everything else is positive for me. My 2 complaints: no scroll was stupid. The no opening Star Wars theme music, the main theme, was horrible. And the way the graphic that they used for it to just say Rogue One looked like a 7th grader did it in some hack computer class in middle school.
Yeah, that was weird.
It looked dumb. It was just kind of like it said Lucasfilm, and then the movie kind of started. It was it was really crappy. I knew I was gonna have a problem with the no crawl, but they even did a job without. I knew it wasn't gonna be there, and it still looked like worse than I thought it was gonna be. So that was crap. And the soundtrack, sorry, Michael, Giacchino or whatever, not great.
I agree
Not
with the
great.
scroll thing for about 10 minutes. Like, I sat there pondering the whole thing in my mind that I'm like, okay, like, not having the fanfare was annoying. Not having the scroll was annoying. About 10 minutes later, I was just like, okay, I'm over it now. Like,
I'm not.
I was already like past that point that I'm like, okay, I'm trying to pay attention to the movie. I'm not trying to dwell on this anymore. So it did bother me, but not for very long.
Several people around me, I heard them go, "What the hell?"
and I was prepping myself for the
I know,
and it just didn't come, and I'm like,
I was waiting for him to do the opening scene and then have it say Star Wars and go bam, and at least do the thing so you knew it was like a Star Wars thing, and then they can go into the rest of the movie. But they didn't.
Yeah, even Star Wars Rebels will do like an intro scene, and then when the title comes up, you get the fanfare.
I was hoping they would do that. And the soundtrack, like for the first half hour, I was trying to see, because the reviews that I read said that it did such a great job, like sounded John Williams-ish, and it was different but still the same, and it was such a good. I'm like, no, it's just not really.
It sounded like John Williams every time somebody from the original trilogy showed up. That was it.
Yeah, it basically was like B-sides of John Williams, like crap he wrote that this isn't good enough, I'm gonna scrap that, and Michael Giacchino picked it up and went, it's going in my movie.
Not that I disliked it, but it was not comparable to John Williams whatsoever.
No, I didn't dislike it, it just wasn't great. I was like, all right, whatever.
I don't think that's his fault, though. I think he was given that marching order to try to change things up and deliberately go away from that a little bit.
Well,
and when he like totally dipped into the old paint box, so to speak, it sounded great. Like when he did weave in the original themes, he did a fantastic job. So I think he could have done that more, but he was told not to.
Well, he just got the job to score this movie like 3 months ago or something like that, because they had another guy that backed out or they fired him or something like that. So they had to call him at the last minute. So can't really blame him there. Mm-hmm. But those are the only 2 things for me that I didn't like. I thought it was absolutely incredible. I mean, it was some people were saying that it starts out slow and they didn't like that part of it, but I liked how they built it up. I thought it was a great build.
It was great filler for something that we never had. It was always speculation of how, and I can't even say speculation. There's, for the most part, for the longest time, I never even questioned how they got the Death Star plans. It was just like,
okay, they got them.
It was it was just there, and R2 had to take them away from Leia and go deliver them. I never really questioned for the longest time how Leia got them in her hands in the first place.
Yep. I thought that was the coolest thing. Was it's a story that we already know the end. Okay, they get the Death Star plans, and they told such a cool original story to get to that point. It wasn't just, okay, there's some good guys and they decide they're going to go steal the Death Star plans. It wasn't like that. It was really, I mean, there was some ambiguity in the characters, and it was
was cool.
A lot of plot twists where it wasn't. I mean, it was basically at its heart like a heist in a war movie, but they really had some really cool plot twists to where it wasn't just your standard go from point A to point B, which I love that.
I think in a lot of cases the trailers did it a little bit of a disservice. Actually, the way they cut some of those scenes together, I think they played out better in the movie than they did in the trailer. Like there were so many of those inspirational, like wall quote kind of catchphrase things that they jammed into the trailer, I was like, oh my God, is this going to be a bunch of heroic speeches and crap with, big dynamic musical swells and all this crap? And no, it was only here and there. But when you put them all into a 30-second trailer, it seems like that's all there is in the movie.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, spoiler number one, I guess. I didn't think about it, even though it makes all the common sense in the world. As I was sitting there watching the movie, and I'm like, wow, they're really killing a lot of these people. And then I'm like, they have to, dumbass. Like,
Right.
like, but for whatever reason, because it's a Star Wars movie and stuff, you always get one or two or something. So when you start getting just death after death after death, it's just like, wow, like they're really shoehorning this in. Then, oh yeah, of course it is. 'Cause it's leading up to 2 minutes before A New Hope starts.
Right.
And see, I thought they could have let some of them survive. Like, okay, Jyn Erso herself is too pivotal to this story to be completely forgotten in the future stories. But, maybe Baze makes it out, or, someone else who just kind of becomes an ordinary soldier after that. I don't think they had to wipe everybody out, but all right, so they did.
Yeah.
That's actually, if I want to put a complaint out there, is that they did kill everybody, because this story was so much fun. Now I'm pissed that I know that I can't get any more stories with those characters unless they want to dig further back again. And I don't want to go the prequel route. I want to have more adventures in the future with these guys.
Prequel the prequels.
Yeah,
right.
K2SO was awesome, absolutely awesome. Loved K2SO, and we're not going to get any more of him. So
yeah, no, I agree. I mean, this definitely was the darkest Star Wars movie. But the thing that was so cool for me was, this is a small example of a bigger point, but it was still the same laser blasts killing people, and it was, but it was more realistic. Like, it was more visceral. Like, like the guns just, I don't know what it was. It felt like you're watching Saving Private Ryan, where you feel like the gun's actually firing. When people were getting shot, it wasn't like a smoke puff and a little red laser blast off their chest and they go and fall over. I mean, they were getting blasted back like they were actually getting shot with something. I mean, it was very realistic, the way people were flying around, and it was awesome.
Going forward, episode 8 and stuff, do you prefer that it stays that way, or do you think it's got to go back to the fluff that we've had for the past 7 movies?
Well, they started it with episode 7, I think, because they had
a little
stormtroopers
bit.
flying back, so I think this kind of added to it.
yeah, 7 had a kind of grit to it.
Yeah, so I would like them to do it this way. And I think, like I say, that was a small part of a bigger point that I wanted to make, was that the biggest thing that I took away from this movie was they added to Star Wars, but it wasn't cheesy, and it just made Star Wars even cooler. Like, now it like sits alongside the other movies, and it expands the canon, and it fits right in there perfectly and just makes Star Wars that little extra bit cooler. Like, none of it to me was cheesy. I was like, this is perfect with the other 7 movies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I love that.
We did talk about how it was a risky move. Same thing with all the Star Wars story movies are a risky move, because we talked about how it risks ruining something that you've already got in your mind, and this one, it did nothing. Like, it fit perfectly.
It expanded it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I love that. I love all the little, legacy characters that they sprinkled in there, which, JT, I know you said it isn't really a spoiler to know what those characters are, but like I said in the preview show, I really liked not knowing who was going to show up. So when they did, I popped, man. That was such a cool little thing.
I did too. And the facial CG, that's what I wasn't prepared for, because I knew Tarkin and Leia,
a lot of that.
R2 and 3PO and stuff. So I knew that they were going to be in there. But when Tarkin turned around the first time, I was like, because I saw the back of his head and I heard his voice, I'm like, boy, whoever that is sounds almost exactly like Tarkin in Episode 4, and his head is shaped. And the guy turns around and it was like they had actually had an actual actor, and they CG'd Peter Cushing's face onto it, and it was seamless. I was like, oh my God, that's awesome. And then they did the same thing with Leia at the end.
Yep.
And they, honestly, the coolest ones to me, this is so small, but I loved it, was when they had Red Leader and Gold Leader.
Right.
Because it looked just like them. Steve, you said, it looked like they pulled them right out of 1977.
I need to watch it again. I didn't see it with Gold Leader, but Red Leader, I swear you could see the grit from legitimate film on the screen. I think they pulled it from.
They might have had
A
other
New
takes
Hope.
or something. Yeah.
I don't think that was cleaned up. I think they pulled that thing from the original.
Well, like when he's even the delivery of his lines, like it was that kind of like that semi-deadpan sort of thing, like switching to front deflector screens.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, watch out for the guns.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
So
I
he's
know
a
you
bad actor in 2 movies.
Yeah.
And I know you said it in the theater, AJ. It was kind of funny that Red 5 is the one that ate it.
Yeah, right?
Yep. Now we know how Luke got his.
Yeah.
I can't wait to go see it again.
Here, have the call sign of this dead guy that pulled the Porkins a couple
Right.
of weeks ago, Luke.
Apparently, that's the one they give the guy they want to get rid of. We don't really like that guy. Give him a red 5. It's like
It's the red shirt from Star Trek.
exactly. Yeah, I can't wait to see it again tomorrow because there was all the little Easter eggs and stuff, like the very first one where the Ursos are escaping and they show the container of blue milk and they kind of focus on it very slightly for like a split second. So they're like wink wink blue milk.
I
Let's
leaned
talk
over.
about
I
that.
leaned over to Gwen, and I'm like, "Blue milk."
Yep. They have 4227 in the
Yeah.
one part, like they reference that and.
And just to touch on the last thing with the CG and stuff, maybe it's just because I've done that stuff. I did notice the CG. Like, it wasn't as perfectly seamless as I would have thought it was going to be.
Me too.
But that was only when they did the close-up on Leia and the close-up on Tarkin. When
I
when
agree
his
completely.
head was turned and stuff. It wasn't so much his face as when he did like that scowl at the beginning. You could kind of see that that fakeness in it, and I'm like, okay, that's total CG, but we knew it was anyways. The guy's been guy's been dead since the Nixon era, and so of course it is.
That's the thing with the suspension of disbelief, though, because the kid next to me had no idea that was CG. I turned to him after the movie. I said, that actor's been dead for decades, right? And he's like, what?
Oh, yeah, if you had no clue.
He didn't know that it wasn't an actual human being he was looking at.
Oh, it was. It was just a different face.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, he didn't realize the face was CG.
They pulled the weekend to Bernie's with Cushing's corpse.
The guy turns around and he's just got like one of those paper cutouts of Peter Cushing on his face with the eyes cut out,
like the cereal box.
By the way, do we know for
with a
sure?
little string around his ears.
We didn't stay for the end credits, so I didn't actually get the name. Was it Stephen Stanton doing the voice for Tarkin?
I'm almost positive it was.
Okay, because he was the guy that did it for Clone Wars and Rebels as well. I mean, that guy can seriously do that stuff. It's amazing.
Yeah, I'm almost positive that it was.
I'll tweet
There
him
was
and
so much
ask him.
more.
He follows me. So.
Oh, awesome. There was so much more of Tarkin than I expected. I thought it was
Me
going to be
too.
like a quick little bit, kind of like Clue in Tron Legacy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, especially with the CG, you would have thought like they're just gonna shoehorn him in a little bit, get him out because CG costs a lot of money, and
I think they figured they were going to make their money back on
and
this
to
one.
but still, CG is big time cash. So to basically give the guy 40 minutes of screen time, maybe,
Yeah, right.
That's a lot.
So you had a point you wanted to make, AJ, and then we got kind of sidetracked, but.
I was going to talk about compared to Episode 7 and talking about like how this one nailed the feel of Star Wars so much more. Even though it took more risks, it broke the format so much more than 7 did, yet somehow it captured the spirit better.
I thought so. And my first comment when I stood up from the theater, and I think this is my simple, easy review, Rogue One gave me the feeling walking out of the theater that I wanted to have the first time I walked out of Force Awakens last year. I got out of Force Awakens, I was like, yeah, it was cool. It was really good. This one I stood up and I was like, yeah.
Yeah, and what
Like,
the hell is that?
It's the originality of the story for me. Episode 7, when it just started basically rehashing Episode 4 note for note, I was getting pissed. I'm like, so I'm watching that, and then they killed Han Solo, which double pissed me off. I mean, that would have pissed me off anyway, but
yeah.
I mean, when you're just ripping off, like I say, it just seemed too much of a cash grab for me, and that's why as time went on, I was getting more and more excited for this one because it was a new story. And I went in knowing it was going to be something original, but it was even way more original than I thought it was going to be. I was like, this storyline is so cool.
Yeah, for all the new stuff they threw at us, we were like, I don't know how this is going to fit in with Episode 4 because we've never seen this stuff before. I just stopped caring. I started looking at all the new stuff, and I'm just like, that's cool. That's cool. Oh, look at that. That's cool, too. It was all good. Like, I don't have to worry about it, and I'm not going to bitch that Episode 4 doesn't have shore troopers and tank troopers and K2SO droids walking around. I don't care. It's still cool. This one's cool too, and seeing those things alongside each other didn't bother me at all.
Yep. And I'd like to hold your thought 1 second, because I have to admit that I was wrong, because I was bitching. Well, we don't need more different kinds of stormtroopers, and we don't need more different kinds of ships. Enough is enough. They were awesome.
You know what it was?
And because they didn't overdo it.
Right. It was like Return of the Jedi, where new stuff just showed up and they didn't call attention to it. It's like TIE Strikers just started flying around. They didn't be like, go get the TIE Strikers. Those things are new. They've never seen those before.
Was I wrong, or did we only see a TIE Striker like once or twice?
Yeah, they were very little bit.
And the shore troopers, like most of the movie, were just regular stormtroopers. So the shore troopers were
only on Scarif.
Yeah, and the death troopers were specifically the best of the best troopers, which was cool. So I was wrong in that. I thought it turned out to be really cool. So anyway, Steve, sorry.
It could have just been, we talked about it before, how when Disney took over, they needed to fish for everybody to get everyone back into Star Wars again, to grab the casual fan. This, between the original story and the fact that they already drew everybody in, this could have just been the first step of, this is what Disney wanted to do with Star Wars.
I hope so.
So hopefully, going forward, with Episode 8 and the Han Solo story and all that stuff, we kind of just keep rolling down this whole path that they're on now. So if that's the case, I will forgive them for Episode 7, which I still love the movie because of the characters that we got introduced.
I do
too. We got probably a top 5 greatest Star Wars character introduced to us in Rey, so you can't complain too much even during the rehash. But hopefully it stays down this path now of just taking these kind of chances, and that makes me really excited for Episode 8 coming out next year.
Yeah, me too.
I will say this, I don't really give a about Jyn Erso. That character I didn't care when she died. She was a vehicle to tell the story, but maybe they did that on purpose, because if you get super attached, and to meet her and lose her all in the same movie would really suck.
Yeah.
But she's certainly not like the next Rey.
That was actually the first thing Gwen said too. She was walking out of the theater and she just said, I didn't feel attached to anybody. She just said, I didn't really care for any of the main characters. She said, if anything, she said the blind dude was probably the coolest one out of the batch of them, but she said she didn't feel any kind of connection with anybody. And yeah, that might have just been completely done on purpose. We got Forrest Whitaker's character, who I'm drawing a blank because
Saw Gerrera.
Yeah, it's too late. We had him shoehorned down our throats, in advertisements and stuff, and like the guy said like 18 words.
Yep.
And then dies in a dust cloud. So
that was a great swerve, though. I thought he was going to play like a pivotal role.
Yeah, I did too.
And the fact that instead he's this like loony guy that no one really gets along with, because even the rebels think that he's too extreme.
A whack job, yeah.
Like,
he was
wow,
the throwaway
man.
character that I said Episode 7 should have had.
Yeah. See, I like the new characters. Like Gwen and I were talking before we started recording, and I actually thought they did a good job, because when they started picking them off one by one, I was like, oh man. And I liked Chirrut Imwe, Donnie Yen's character, the blind guy,
the one you thought you were gonna hate.
Yeah, I actually liked him a lot. I still don't like the scene with he's whooping everybody with a stick. That kind of annoyed me still, because I'm just like, come on, dude. Someone's going to shoot him at that point. I mean, I suspend disbelief, but at that point, I'm like, there's like 10 stormtroopers around him. Like, they're all going to wait their turn to shoot.
And it is called stormtrooper armor, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's supposed to protect from something, but you can shoot through it. You can knock him out with a stick.
Yeah.
You can hit him with a rock if you're an Ewok.
Apparently, Fruit of the Loom makes the stormtrooper armor. And nobody knew. It's just a really
It's
thick
underoos.
Yeah, it's just a really thick T-shirt material. It's like a sweatshirt.
Well, it's got to be breathable,
Yeah, right?
Speaking of the armor, since this movie is supposed to lead right up to minutes before A New Hope, apparently all the Death Troopers and Shore Troopers, all that armor was just eradicated on the planet, apparently, right?
Well, they had all the Shore Troopers down there when they,
It's like there was
Death
just
Starred their own base.
So there was just nothing left but pristine, because they even had dirty Stormtrooper.
Yeah,
So there was just nothing left but all the pristine ones up on the Death Star. They're just
Now we know why they're so clean.
Yeah, I guess.
Yep.
Because that was actually the first thing I thought of when they were driving that giant ass 6-wheeled tank, and the trooper was just all covered in dirt and stuff. And I'm like,
By the way, did you see that? Clone turbo tank from episode 3.
Yeah.
Now prison school bus.
yeah, exactly.
School bus.
and I was just sitting there going, wow. They actually got dirty. Like, we never saw that, and even in episode 7, with the exception of blood on Finn's helmet, it was just pristine stormtrooper armor. So it was kind of weird to actually see those guys getting a little dirt on their shoulder pads for once.
One of the things I thought was funny. This kind of made me laugh when I was thinking about it. Like as soon as the movie ended, I was thinking, okay, so they're on Scarif, which houses like all of the major Imperial knowledge in that tower. Okay, well, so they're worried about the rebels getting something, so they Death Star their own tower and island. So all of the Imperial knowledge is gone. And then I went, no, they've got to have backups of that somewhere. And then I thought, that means they have a backup of the Death Star plan somewhere. And then I'm thinking, what if Jyn Erso came to that realization on the beach as that thing's coming to kill her? Like she just sitting there like, well, at least we transferred the plans. Wait a minute. Why'd they blow up their own crap? If that must mean they have other copies of all this stuff, so we didn't have to come here to get it. We could have gone elsewhere and maybe not. Oh. It's like
either that.
That's the one thing I thought of that was like,
either that or Palpatine's just up there laughing, and then he looks at his cell phone, notices that his Verizon cloud storage is full, and there's no backup.
Exactly.
He's got to pay like 200 Imperial credits to get a bigger cloud storage space.
Right.
Hey, that does kind of this is the thing. Like, they fixed some plot holes that I didn't even realize existed here and there. Like, okay, let's say that is like the central hub of Imperial knowledge and stuff. Well, that explains why they have such a hard time tracking down the rebels from that point forward. It's like, imagine if Google Maps went down. No one would be able to get anywhere.
Yeah. They couldn't, the Empire couldn't GPS.
Sir, the rebel base is on Yavin 4. Well, how the hell do we get there?
Yeah. Who the hell's ever been to Yavin 4? What the hell is that?
Is that next to Yavin 3?
All right. Yeah. But no, I mean, back to the point.
Or how about all the Imperial knowledge that was basically stored in the claw machine from Toy Story?
Yeah.
Yes.
There's this little 3-eyed aliens down at the bottom of that pit.
Right.
He was chosen. He must go.
Right. Yeah, no, I actually like Donnie Yen's character a lot more than I thought I would. And I thought it was a really awesome throwback to the very original script of Star Wars to call him and Baze Guardians of the Wills.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, I think Chirrut was a guardian and Baze was like a bodyguard for him or something, right? Like,
I thought that Cassian Andor said when they were running away from him, they first met him, like they're Guardians of the Wills. I thought he said they are.
I think he was referring to the people like Chirrut.
Oh, okay. Well, either way, I liked Chirrut Imwe a lot more than I thought I would. I thought he was really cool.
Yeah.
And, when he went out there and he was, having to go flip that switch and everything, that
was the one part where I'm like, what the hell is this? Like, as soon as a beard whisker flicks out from behind cover, the Death Troopers are picking him off if they're a rebel soldier, and then Blind Guy just gets to walk casually through the maelstrom, just like C-3PO did with the R2 right at the beginning of episode 4, where there's just blaster bolts going back and forth, and they all miss him.
Well, he's force sensitive, so
he wasn't ducking, though. We saw him duck and move in other scenes.
Well,
this one, he just walked.
Well,
yeah,
the Death Troopers were doing a really good job hitting everything throughout the entire movie until that point.
Right.
He must have put some type of force curse on them that just lasted for 4 movies now.
Right.
They're just unable to hit anything now, all because of that guy walking across the beach.
He did. Chirrut Imwe did have, I thought, the funniest joke of the movie. When they were being taken to Saw Gerrera and they put a bag on his head and he goes, "Really? I'm blind." like that is
they
so
did
not a Star Wars
a
way
little
of,
bit of humor in there.
Yeah,
Like,
it's so not a Star Wars way of telling a joke. It was just such a blunt, obvious joke. It was so funny.
K2 dropping the 3PO line,
right?
Well, yeah, that's the other thing. That's what I was really going for when I was trying to draw that comparison earlier to 7, and I forgot it, so I made up one on the fly. This one was so much better at having callbacks that weren't like smack you in the face, can't miss it callbacks. It was just organic the way they did it.
Really, the only one was the blue milk. That was kind of and it was right at the beginning.
I missed it.
How did you miss it? It was right in the center of the screen.
I don't know. I was looking at something else in the frame. I don't know.
The very first thing I saw, they go to that scene, and I was like, oh, there's blue milk on the counter.
Yeah, they left it right in the crosshair.
Yeah.
That's one thing you learn. I learned when I was doing my whole television thing and stuff. Just imagine your TV screen with a giant tic-tac-toe board taking up, top to bottom, side to side. So your central focus is always on those 4 points where the lines meet. And not only was it right on the point on the side, the jar or the glass it was in was probably tall enough to take up like 2 points.
Yeah, it was big.
At the same time, it was just...
And they stayed on it for a second, too. Yeah. There was that split-second pause where you could feel them going, blue milk, blue milk.
Yeah.
And none of the rest of it was in there. I mean, they had
all you needed was
those, R2 for a second. That was it. And
all you needed was those ridiculous plastic cups that
Uncle
Owen had.
The protein shaker cups.
Yeah. So structurally for the movie, because we're talking about that opening scene now, I feel like everything before the title screen was the opening crawl, just in cinematic form, which was cool.
Yeah, kind of.
Because we had there's a time jump in there, so it was good to have Jin as a little girl before the title screen, and then cut to Jin as an adult, picking up from that point forward. I thought that was a good way to do it, to actually have a title screen to segment the two instead of having some other thing to say like 25 years ago.
Yeah.
Present day. Like
it
was weird enough to have locations spelled out for us, which is something new for Star Wars.
Yeah.
Having times spelled out for us too would be a little bit too much.
Yeah. I thought it was cool that they had the names of the planets on the bottom of the screen because it made it feel more of a military type of a... I mean, they did such a good job of it. I mean, it was so different for a Star Wars movie, but it felt like a Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just amazing. I think they did such a great job of it. And again, I wish I would have felt like this when I left the theater for Episode 7 last year. I'm really hoping that I'm just blown away by Episode 8 and the Han Solo movie and Episode 9 and whatever the last of the, if it's going to be Boba Fett or something. I mean, this really gives me hope for those other stories, because if they can get quality storytelling like this,
yeah,
I mean, that is going to be amazing.
There was one thing I can't say I was hoping for, but after it was hinted towards when they were talking to Bail about his Jedi friend that was in hiding.
That was so cool.
There was too much of that, though.
No, I loved it.
I was thinking, are they going to dip back into the CGI and do a little bit of Kenobi in that thing somewhere? And I was kind of waiting for it, and it never happened. And I was like,
just a quick cutaway where Kenobi's just in his hut, and he just looks up and goes,
or it shows a desert. And he kind of pops in from the side of the screen and wiggles his fingers like, hey, and then they go back to their like. No, see, I thought that was kind of cool, because at the end they started tying it together like, hey, Episode 4 is coming, and I thought it was really cool. It happened so quickly, but it was just that split second enough to where how they end up in the Tantive 4 to start the next movie. I thought it was great.
I was kind of surprised by that right up to the end myself, because they're like, okay, Fleet's bugging out. They've got the plans on the card. I don't see the Tantive 4. How the hell did these get to the Tantive 4? I was like, oh, maybe they launched an escape pod from that frigate over to, and we just didn't see it. No, the thing's docked inside that ship.
Yep.
So cool.
It was, yeah, I loved how they tied it all together.
Speaking of that part, that last 45 seconds of Darth Vader.
Yeah, let's get to the main spoiler here.
My God, that made the movie for me. That was exactly what I was asking for.
I was waiting for that, because I had basically gotten wind of the fact that he did something pretty brutal at the end. So
many episodes ago, and I talked about how brutal I wanted to see Darth Vader. The only thing that annoys me is I thought it was going to come during
earlier,
one of the giant battles down on the beach or something. Like I was waiting for him to show up down there, and so that didn't happen. But yeah, that legitimate pissed off Darth Vader.
We're just whipping dudes around in that hallway,
and it sucks you never got to see him act like that any other time.
Yep.
That was the great. The only time Darth Vader's ever acted like that is the couple of times you get to control him in the Force Unleashed video games.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's literally the only time you see him be that nasty. And it was so good.
That last guy he kills where he's up against the glass going, help us.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden the lightsaber goes through the door.
Yeah.
And then the door opens and the lightsaber's just still there and it like rips the door and goes through the guy. I was like, oh, hell yeah.
Yeah,
that
and-
was so great.
Because he was killing people the way I do in that game with Star Killer, where you lift him up with your force powers, and it's not good enough to just let him die up there. You impale him with your lightsaber while he's up there,
Right.
And then you throw him out the window when you're done with that. You just kill him 3 times to make sure.
Force
he's
choke
really
him, let him
gone.
hang there, and then throw him when you're not even looking at him.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, our cousin is completely wrong about that. I don't care if it doesn't match up to him in episode 4. That was such a payoff to see that. I don't care.
it's exactly like we talked about. Who doesn't want to see that? And I told him, our cousin Chris that was on a previous episode with us, the Return of the Jedi one, he actually did not like the scene with Vader where he's just destroying people at the end of this movie, at the end of Rogue One. Oh, well, it doesn't look like the Darth Vader that we saw when he was fighting Obi-Wan in episode 4. Who cares? Who in the hell cares? You got 10 minutes of or not 10 minutes, but you got like 2 minutes of Darth Vader just eviscerating people.
Yep.
Who doesn't want to see that? He literally, and I don't think I'm going out on a limb here, on the entire planet Earth, he's going to be the only person that doesn't like that. Every other person that watches this movie is going to love that. I would put money on that,
Right.
man.
Just the part of the scene where he's in the dark and the lightsaber lights up everything around him.
Yeah. It's not like he even walked into like a bright hallway like he did in the beginning of episode 4. It was all of a sudden the hallway goes dark and there's nothing but blackness at the end. You see a little bit of smoke and then you just hear him breathing. You're like, oh shit, here he comes.
And if we had 4D technology right now, that would have been the exact moment where the entire theater was filled with crap. 'Cause you would have just
All right.
smelled piss and crap, because that would have been all of those rebel guys.
right?
That's why you just panic shot, dude. That's the call sign of somebody that's screwed. You know, when you're playing Battlefront and stuff, you know you're screwed. You just start panic shooting, hoping to take somebody down. That was the guy in front.
right? It's like, well, I'm out.
The only guy that annoyed me during that scene was the guy that constantly kept trying to pass the Death Star plans through the door. Common sense says you flick the damn thing through the door at least 30 seconds earlier.
Yeah.
Right.
The guy's trying to save himself. Pull the door open. No, just give me the card, dude. No, you're dead already.
Yeah.
Give me the card. Let me go.
If that's me, I flick it through the little opening in the door and then trying to go, oh no, I'm choked. Oh no, and then collapse on the floor and hope he just walks past me so I can survive.
You're trying to play dead.
Exactly. I believe I got everyone. And the guy goes, whew. Oh, thank goodness. What was that?
You think you're good and just... Damn it!
Given away by the old squealer.
You just let out an old church house creeper and Darth Vader turns back around and goes...
Church house creeper. Oh man, no, but yeah, overall, I absolutely loved it. I literally don't have a single complaint about anything except for the lack of an opening crawl and no main Star Wars theme. And I thought that the soundtrack was okay, but I mean, then again, we're used to John Williams,
Yeah.
so you can't really, talk about that too much, because if it's not John Williams, you're gonna know. I mean, you and I have said the same thing, AJ, about like Rebels and Clone Wars. Like, the music's good, but it's not John Williams.
But when they do want to step up and make the music take center stage, it does. Like, Kevin Kiner's very good at doing that. And, to his credit, Giacchino did do that in a few spots. Like I said, when he tied in the original themes, he did it well. I just don't think he was allowed to do much more than that. I think they wanted him to specifically not dig into that too much.
Yeah.
But being a Star Wars film set in the original trilogy, you expect it to be. This was a much more nuanced kind of soundtrack. There weren't a lot of like super simplistic kind of compositions, and that's what makes episode 4 so listenable. Is everything was simple. It was main themes and easy stuff that you could hum along to. So,
well, this was also more of a normal movie because it didn't have music over the entire bed.
I thought there was a lot of it, actually. There was a lot of stuff where I'm like, wow, that soundtrack has not dropped out.
Yeah, but there was a lot where I noticed it wasn't there because I'm so used to hearing music everywhere in Star Wars, and I was like, oh, there's no music here. So, and I liked it. Again, Gareth Edwards did such a great job with this because it's so different from the other movies, but it still fits in with them perfectly.
Yeah, how is it that the love letter to the fans of episode 7, like did JJ just miss the mark with the feel of it, or I don't know how this one got the feeling right where 7 was trying to ape everything that all the calling cards of Star Wars and didn't get it.
Well, episode 7 didn't have the benefit that Rogue One has of being set right before episode 4, so they could just lean on, the original trilogy feel and all the designs of episode 4 and then just add a little bit to it.
But even something like, okay, the Star Killer Base trench run. They had a friggin' trench run with X-Wings and TIE Fighters in episode 7, and that didn't feel nearly as much like episode 4 to me as attacking that space gate with the Rebel fleet did. Like when the X-Wings are swooping in and out of the architecture around the space gate or the shield gate, that swooping and diving, that gave me trench run feels.
It made me feel I actually related it more to episode 6, the second Death Star battle.
Yeah, a lot of that too.
And it's probably just because of the giant frigates and stuff like that. But and can we please address the fact that one of my only big annoyances with Return of the Jedi has always been where the A-Wing crashes into the cockpit, like the one control cockpit of the Super Star Destroyer, and it manages to blow up the whole damn ship. I'm like, that's not how you blow up a Star Destroyer. And Rogue One showed us how you blow up a Star Destroyer. Where they had the Hammerhead Corvette.
Which was introduced in Rebels, by the way. Yes. So nice connective tissue there.
And they just basically used it as they disable the Star Destroyer, and then they use the Hammerhead Corvette as basically like a tugboat and push it into the other Star Destroyer.
I love how they actually have a ship designed for that. They call it a Hammerhead, and it's designed to ram into shit.
Yeah.
The crazy thing was, like, when they showed the size comparison, even I'm sitting there just looking at it going, there's no way that ship's going to move that Star Destroyer still. I don't care if it's disabled or not. Things like a Matchbox car pushing a real car. No, it's shoving it. Okay.
And what was cool to me was it didn't just go like, parallel, like shove it right into it. It actually, because the Corvette was more towards the front end of the Star Destroyer, it was like it rotated it on an axis.
Yep.
So it kind of like cleaved it. I was like, now that's how you do it. Like that was awesome.
Badass.
Like I say, it's just another example of how they, brought something new to Star Wars and expanded it, but it was cool and felt like something that was already there. I mean, the bar is really high
and
for these movies going forward.
And usually in Star Wars, every single time, it doesn't matter if they're moving at light speed or a snail's pace. If ships crash into each other in Star Wars, they usually always explode.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there watching it going, why are we prepping for contact on the... why didn't it blow up?
Yeah, I thought it was a suicide run.
Yeah. Like, I thought, it's in his way and they can't move. Like, they can't steer the Titanic away from the iceberg or something. Or, right. or just a kamikaze mission or something. And it's just, just thump into it and shove this thing.
Yep. And how cool was it with the force field around Scarif? Instead of just when a ship would fly into it, just boom, blows up. It like bounced off of it.
Yeah.
Like it was like this, like the shield was actually like pliable and it just busted the ship into several pieces. I'm like, this is so cool. This is exactly what I wanted from episode 7. Like, I wanted something different, but that was Star Wars to me. This is exactly what I wanted. I wish, and I, like I said, going, like you've always said, Steve, like Disney probably felt like they had to just, hey, remember this, remember that, remember this that you used to love all over episode 7 to get everybody back into it. I personally disagree. I don't think that was needed. I don't know why they would think that because, again, if you just put Leia and Han and Luke.
I've got it.
Okay.
I've actually got a legit theory. Sorry if you were expecting a joke, because that's usually what we do here. But I've got a legitimate theory on this. You advance 30 years from Return of the Jedi. You're in completely uncharted territory. So that's all unfamiliar. So they overdo it with the callbacks. Whereas this,
exactly,
being right in original trilogy zone where everybody knows it all already, you don't have to do that. So you can just go off and tell your own story. But because it's got all familiar looks and feels to it, it fits right in.
Yeah. No, that's
in that perspective, this story was actually freer to take chances than Episode 7 was.
I agree. I still think that it wasn't necessary to just completely ape Episode 4.
It probably wasn't, but in the grand scheme of things, Disney was trying to grab people that didn't care about Star Wars and make them care about Star Wars. They knew they were getting our money.
Yeah.
So Episode 7 was clearly not geared towards us.
Yeah.
This movie... Oh, sorry.
No, go for it.
Done? Okay. This movie was actually... I think this might be... This blew away my expectations because this is...
Me too.
This is the ultimate, like, hub of all Star Wars. We got a clone turbo tank from the prequels. We got original trilogy callback stuff. We got ships from Rebels. We got... Vader abilities that were defined in the new canon novels. Like, you notice he was standing in the vacuum of space watching the Tantive 4.
I noticed that.
Because his suit is a space suit.
Yep.
That was written in Lords of the Sith. They called... I overheard at the Rebel base they were calling for General Syndulla. So Cham Syndulla is apparently a general in the army by now.
Yep.
Or the Rebels by now. I mean, like, it pulled in from... cartoons and prequels and original trilogy and books and like everything all in this movie, and it pulls it all in well.
Yep. This was your movie then. This was I just said Episode 7 was not geared towards us. This was Disney's way of saying, that one wasn't for you people. This one is. So
this is
go.
like
Merry
everything
Christmas.
Everything we've done, us being Disney, it all connects, and here we're going to show you how.
Yep.
Boom! Here's Rogue One.
Yeah.
Here's all that crap talk you guys have been doing for the past year about how Disney can't make Star Wars. Well, here you go.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I absolutely loved it. I
said
thought it was phenomenal.
Now the only thing is, does it follow suit? It's
Episode 8 has so much to live up to.
It does at this point because, like I said, I've been going to bat for Disney over this for a year now, and if Episode 8 comes out in 2017 and follows the same fluff of 7, I have no argument anymore, and I have to swallow pride on that one and give up. So hopefully everything just kind of follows suit, and they go, all right, we had to do that so we could make this.
Yeah.
And
thankfully the director of Episode 8 is known for like really out there kind of interesting concepts. Like Rian Johnson, he did Looper, which was an awesome movie. So I think it's going to be great. But Rogue One definitely took the bar and absolutely raised it. I mean, I don't know, having only seen it once, I don't know where I would rank it in terms of my favorite Star Wars movies yet. But I have seen a lot of people saying, oh, I like it as much as I like Empire, or I like, it's on par with episodes 4 and 5. And I don't know how I feel about it, but I sure can't fault them for saying that. I mean, it really is that solid to me. I mean, I can't wait to see it again and catch everything and really get into it, because I don't know about you guys, but the first time I'm watching these movies, I'm so into Star Wars that I'm just like, oh, look at that. Oh, look at that. Oh, what do you say? What? Oh, look at that! Ah,
and every scene was crammed.
Yeah,
like that. Just the style of directing was very. I mean, he was in the shots. He had his own camera basically.
Yeah,
he was being his own cinematographer, and that was cool. But it led to an even more. I don't want to say cramped because that sounds negative, but yes, everything was like you were so in the middle of the action. You're like, oh my god, it almost feels claustrophobic.
It was kind of busy.
Yeah, there's no like big wide open
Very
shots
active.
to let things breathe.
Yep. No, I agree. And it's just I can't say enough good things about it. It's just as the movie built and built. I mean, more and more you're just like, like it was so well done in every aspect. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a Star Wars honk and I love it. I really, really loved the movie that much.
And I loved all the attention to detail that they did, too. I mean, you got Jimmy Smits back to be Bail Organa.
Yep.
You got, what's-her-name, who played Mon Mothma from Episode 3.
Episode 3, yep.
I think they might have overdone the red lenses on Vader's suit just a little bit, but that was cool to see, just for a little bit of continuity.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
did
it's
you
like
notice
they
even
tried a little
Vader's...
hard to emphasize, like, look at the...
Yeah.
Apparently
look
they
at
even
the
did it with,
lenses.
like, the way that the fabric hangs over his plastic and all that kind of stuff.
Yes, because they're called tabards, I think is the official term for that. But they go under his chest/shoulder plating in 5 and 6, and they were over them in 4.
Yeah.
So they even got that detail right. Like, everything was just so well done and researched. Like, there was nothing that stood out like, that doesn't look like it did when I saw it last time.
Yep. No, I agree completely. I'll never forget when I saw the very first trailer for this. I think it was pretty early this year. And I'll never forget, and I think I said it on the show, I saw it, I was like, I said, I really don't like this. Like, I don't know, what are they doing? And then the second trailer came out like 2 months later after that, and I was like, oh, never mind, this is looking kind of cool. And then as more and more stuff came out and I started researching it more, I was really getting into it. And I was really nervous going into tonight because I have to admit, all week long I have been just fiending to see this movie. And my expectations, having read some reviews, they didn't have spoilers in it, so I didn't know anything, major plot wise. But the reviews had so much good stuff to say about it. My expectations were huge. And I was so afraid of being let down because I built myself up so much, and I wasn't.
The Scarif DLC for Battlefront is what got me totally pumped.
Oh my god, isn't that good? They did it. Now that you've seen the movie, didn't they do a fantastic job with that?
Yes, they did. Absolutely. I love playing those things.
Yep.
Yeah, my expectations got higher and higher, and this thing blew them out of the water.
Yeah.
Like, it's so good. I would stack this right alongside the original trilogy.
Yep.
It fits right in with it for me. I'm all okay with that. And that's the highest praise you can give a Star Wars movie, is to say that it measures up to the originals.
Yeah.
No slight on the prequels. I'm not trying to draw a comparison there.
No.
I'm just saying, like, when you take those 3 movies and how highly regarded they are, to say that this one can stand with those.
You just made me think of something.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that.
Yeah, the arguments that are going to ensue of, this is how prequels are supposed to be made.
Well,
God, those are going to start plowing out over the weekend,
well,
aren't they?
Of course it is. But, again, Rogue One had the benefit of being able to lean on Episode 4 completely. So, I mean, you took...
that's not going to stop the standard moron from...
Well,
And
of
yet-
course.
argument.
Okay, remember how we were talking about the one thing we wanted out of this movie was something that made us look at Episode 4 differently, like color it a little bit? The same way that apparently Episode 8 picks up right at the end scene of Episode 7.
Yeah.
You can watch Rogue One and then immediately flip over to A New Hope.
Yeah.
And it's like Act 2. It's great. And it almost forms like a trilogy now, because Catalyst, now that I've seen the movie, Catalyst really is like, because the story, the character introductions in this movie are very rushed because they've got so much story to get into and so many characters to deal with. To get that backstory in the book is perfect.
Yeah.
Like, that butts up perfectly to where this movie picks up with Krennic coming down to I forget the planet that they're on. Starts with an L or something, doesn't it?
I was just going to ask you.
But whatever planet they start this movie on is where they leave off of Catalyst, and it's the same thing. It kind of like butts right up to it, and then this butts right up to 4. So it's almost like its own sub-trilogy right there. It's really cool that way.
Yep. All right, well, let's close up shop for this one. I'm sure on future episodes we will definitely delve into this a lot deeper once we've each seen it a few more times. We actually have some cool stuff coming up in the coming weeks. I'm working on an interview with the band that I'm sure everybody's seen on YouTube called Galactic Empire. Yep, these guys. Gotta turn that up.
Fading it.
Fade faster.
Yeah, if you want to see some guys that look like they're in the 501st and play metal versions of Star Wars, there you go.
Thursday, January 5th at the Agora Ballroom in Cleveland.
Are
Woo!
fans encouraged to dress up for this?
I have no idea, but I guess we'll find out because like I say, okay, you can fade out now. But no, I actually contacted them for an interview, and we're emailing back and forth to set something up because they are coming to Cleveland, our hometown. They have 3 tour dates announced, and one of them is in Cleveland, so I'd like to talk to them before they come here. So that'll be fun. We actually have some pretty cool news. We officially, thank you, AJ, you did a great job on these. We officially have Nerfherder Council T-shirts. Are these called Raglan jersey style or something?
Baseball jersey tees
they're like
or something.
Baseball jersey tees or something. We'll be posting pictures of my fat ass in one of them on our Twitter here pretty soon. But they are. We have a limited supply, but they are $20, and we'll ship them out to you if you send us an email at nerfherdercouncil@gmail.com. You can pick up a T-shirt for $20. If we run out, we will order more if we get enough orders. And
if we run out, we have a Sharpie, and we can go buy white T-shirts.
Yeah,
and you can get the custom ones,
the iron-ons. So we officially have T-shirts. If you'd like to rock some Nerfherder Council gear, they're actually really cool. You really did a great job on these, AJ.
Thank you, sir.
Very nice work. So you can find us on all the usual places. Ear Peeler. We are on Spreaker, which is our main avenue. We have our YouTube channel. We are on iTunes. We have Google Play. Don't forget, you can call and leave us a voicemail at our hotline number, which is or voicemail number. I said it again, hotline. Our voicemail number at 440-987-WARS, which is 9277. You can hit us up on Twitter at NHC Podcast. We do have the Facebook page. The website, obviously, is nerfherdercouncil.com. So thanks, everyone. I know this was kind of a longer episode, but with a new movie coming out, we had to kind of get into it as much as we could. So thanks for checking it out. We appreciate everybody listening. Hope everybody has a great Christmas, because that'll be coming up here in a few days after this show is released. So happy holidays to everybody. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year from all of us. Again, I'm your host, JT at Dog Pound Jedi. He's AJ.
At Drake Adams 579.
He's Steve.
At JSteve1005.
And we will catch you later. Go see Rogue One as many times as you can.
And may the Force be with you.
Yeah.
Good. Thank you so much, Mr. Emperor. I gotta admit, I'm a huge fan. I've been following your work for a long time. Death Star, Order 66. That was awesome. God. Leave us. Oh, yeah, no, definitely. Let me just get, a quick pic or something. I can get my phone out.
This bucket of bolts is never gonna get us past that blockade.
This bucket's got a few surprises left in her. Plus, me and Chewie are on it. Ain't that right, Chewie?
Hell yeah, you my nerf herder.
You my nerf herder.